Hi and welcome. This is Dolly with Elite KY Homes in the state of Florida and Kentucky. I am this week's video. We're going to be talking about foreclosures and short sales, and for that, I have my lovely Valerie and Leslie joining me to talk to you and about this process and how it works, and just know the insights and outs of the process and how it all works. So, Valerie and Leslie, welcome. How are you all?
Hi,
Hi,
good.
Dolly. Thank
We're
you for
good,
having
Dolly.
us.
Yes,
Excited to be here with you.
I am so excited that we get to do this every single week, trying to, you know, educate our clients and people who are interested in knowing a little bit more about real estate. So, guys, can you talk to me? What is foreclosure? How it works, and what's pre-foreclosure versus foreclosure? How it all works and how it affects homeowners.
So the foreclosure process, it occurs when the homeowners stop paying on their mortgage, okay? That stop paying on the mortgage has to be consistently 3 months. So when you stop making a payment and it consists for 3 months, the mortgage company is going to send you a letter and it's going to tell you, "Hey, listen up, you owe me 3 months worth of payments that you haven't made me. Either you pay me the 3 months or we'll proceed with the foreclosure process." So the foreclosure process is when the bank themselves sues the homeowner for failure to pay the mortgage and accelerates the loan. When I say accelerates the loan, I'm saying that they're going to owe the entire debt on that mortgage that's due. Not just those 3 months, but the entire debt that's due up until that point.
This
Right? And so then what the mortgage company asks the court to do is to sell the property in order for that mortgage company to recover the costs and the payments that have not been made and to recover the loan that it gave that homeowner.
Gotcha. Okay. So the pre-foreclosure period is just from when the bank, the lender, starts sending letters saying
Correct.
we're going to go to foreclosure.
Right. So the pre foreclosure part is basically the pre litigation part and the pre sale part, right? The
Gotcha.
the the actual court has not set a sale date on the property in order for the bank to recover its money. So there's
And
go ahead, Les.
no, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, Valerie, that I interrupted you. I was gonna say that it's important for the people to understand that just because a property is listed as pre-foreclosure in any of the public media, records, CeeLo, Realtor.com, you name it, Trulia, whatnot, that doesn't necessarily mean it is the case that the house is being pre-foreclosed at all. It just means that there is active data around, the different platforms, posting or making a record that the owner of the property hasn't been up to date on payments.
Right.
That does not necessarily mean at that point that owner is not already working with the bank, because even though if you are working with the bank to modify your loan or to work some kind of arrangement, they still have the obligation to report you to the credit bureau that you're not up to date on your payments. So people need to manage their expectations when they see a property that is listed as pre-foreclosure, and just have a true understanding that it may not be coming to a foreclosure or even being selling by the owner, because that may not be the same thing, right?
Mhm.
Gotcha. I remember having a client call me because they were looking at their house online. Um, I don't know why, but there were, and that's okay. And he said pre-foreclosure. So this person calls me and said, Dolly, I think I need to sell my house because it's listed as pre-foreclosure, but I don't know anything. Well, I'm your realtor, so uh, the best way to find out what it is, let's talk to an attorney. Let's figure out what this is. And apparently, it was the HOA. They
Right.
were late on the HOA because this was a rental property that she had, and she never got the mail.
Mhm.
Some reason it got For some reason it just got misplaced. She just didn't see it, so she was going into foreclosure, or it
So,
wasn't pre-foreclosure because of
right.
an HOA. So apparently you not only get into foreclosure because of the lender, but it could be because of taxes. What are the reasons why
So
someone good.
Right. So foreclosures can happen one or two ways. Either the mortgage that you have on that property because you have a lender, or private lender, right? So whenever you use your property as collateral, right? Whenever you're using your property in order to secure a loan, that person who's giving you that money can foreclose on your property. Sometimes it's not necessarily you're thinking of a banking institution and you're thinking of a regular mortgage. Sometimes it can be a private mortgage, right? It could be a private lender that's lending you money for XYZ reason. It doesn't even have to be because they're lending you money to purchase the property. They could be lending you money just on the value of your property, just on what it's, appraised for and what the equity of your property is. Let's say you're taking money out for that reason. Also, very importantly, the association, right? The association can foreclose in a much quicker manner than a mortgage will foreclose. And the reason being is a mortgage, when they foreclose, they have to by law give you certain notifications and remedies and right to rectify, where an association does not, right? An association doesn't have those requisites that a mortgage company will have when they have to foreclose on you. An association can decide, hey, you haven't made payments, I'm foreclosing on you.
And
They
how
can
long does that
foreclose on you.
process normally takes?
So with a foreclosure, they've definitely sped up the process significantly since the mid 2000s, because the mid 2000s, the litigation with mortgage foreclosures absolutely inundated the court system, right? It was absolutely insane. There were thousands of more foreclosures being filed a day. Now the courts have been able to streamline those foreclosures and have been able to handle those cases in a much more quicker fashion. So I can't tell you exactly how long it's going to take to do a foreclosure, but I can tell you that in litigation, there is a process for everything. So it's not a process you're not going to get foreclosed on in 30 days. That's just not going to happen.
And also, the Supreme Court recently, as of 2 years ago, they issue a ruling in which the state court system has to expedite the cases. Can no longer be the case that you file a case and it's been 7, 8 years and the case hasn't been tried. The Supreme Court would not allow that to happen anymore because, of the reason that whoever filed the complaint has the right of a date in court, right? And that's the point of the whole judicial system, that you have your day in court, whether you win or you lose, you prevail or not, that's a different story, but you do have the right to move the case along. So what happens is that the Supreme Court stated that the judges have to issue orders with deadlines for each process within the litigation to occur. Now, yes, that those deadlines can be extended, but cannot be extended as we were used to do it before. It has to be within a reason. It has to be, there has to be a set requirement for it. You have to have a valid excuse for not complying with the prior deadline. So it's much more difficult now to extend a litigation day for years and years to come. It could take 2, 3 years. That could be reasonable, but I'm telling you, a foreclosure is not going to last 7, 9 years like they used to
Before,
back in
I
20.
know,
Yeah.
I have known people who have been, they were in foreclosure without paying anything for
Mhm.
years and years and years. I'm like, when is they're gonna take the house? When is that?
Yeah.
When is all that gonna happen? So okay. So let's shift gears a little bit. What is short sale? How they work, and
Wait,
how?
before we go into the short sale, I wanted to add that another way you can get foreclosed on your property is if you made improvements on your property, and then the person who did those improvements can file for a foreclosure lien. It's another type of foreclosure.
I
Let's
haven't seen that. I
Yeah,
haven't seen it yet.
let's say you had a general contractor come to your home and do complete renovations to your property, and now you're not paying on that debt to your general contractor. They have a lien on, they probably file a lien on your property, or if they didn't, they do have it right within a certain amount of time that the statute provides. But that's another way you can get foreclosed. Any type of improvement, let's say you put solar panels, you can get foreclosed on that. Let's say you renovated your property, you did additions on your property, you did a pool. People that everything that adds into the value of the property, they can go to court and try to foreclose on your property based on unpayment.
Wow,
Yeah.
I have not come across that, and I have been in
Yeah.
the industry for quite some time. Um,
And And
But
just
what?
to add really quickly, people think that just because they have homestead exemption, it protects it from them. It does not. It does not. If anyone is adding value to your property by doing any sort of renovation, as Leslie mentioned, that person is exempt from it, from defending themselves by saying, "Oh, it's my homestead." No, it doesn't matter. That homestead exemption does not apply in those situations.
It's not a waiver.
It's not a waiver, correct?
Gotcha. Okay. Great to know. Great to know. Now let's talk about a little bit about short sales.
So short sales are a little different than foreclosures. So short sales are when the bank agrees to lower the debt that's due to them because they want to basically expedite getting their money, right? We used to see this a lot many years ago because in the mid 2000s is when we saw that the property values were much less than the mortgage, right? So then the mortgage company, a lot of them at that time said, I'm never going to be able to get the value of the sale of this property in order to compensate my debt. So instead of, forcing the sale of a property and not being able to fully recover what's due on the mortgage company would tell the person, okay, go ahead, sell the property. I'm going to lower the debt to X amount and forgive the remaining balance. That did happen a lot back then. I have not seen it happen so much now. I actually haven't seen it in quite some years. And that's because we're no longer seeing the property values be less than the mortgage amounts. Okay. And the reason we're not seeing that is because there's a lot of other regulations that have been in place in order for you to qualify for a mortgage. So the mortgage company has made sure at the point that they're giving you the money that you have the money to repay this. And not only do you have the money, the property value is there in the case you don't have the money and they have to foreclose on you. So you're just not seeing short sales as much as you used to, only because property values are much higher than what the mortgage is.
So, which is why, Dolly, we always ask clients or people that are in the situation where their lender filed for foreclosure in the court, they need to have a team, not only of lawyers, but also of a realtor, because they do have the choice of listing the property for sale and finding a buyer that would pay great market value of the property, and it's going to be higher, believe me, and it's going to be way better for the seller to sell it in a normal customary real estate transaction than wait until the end of the foreclosure proceeding to be sold at a public auction. One, the public auction amount is going to be significantly less than the real property market value. And the other thing is that you will be not getting add-on to whatever the loan amount is, all of those litigation fees, attorney's fees, costs, anything and everything under the sun that happened in the litigation. You're gonna have the possibility of selling your property quicker. We are in a seller's market, so you're not gonna have a problem in selling your property working with you as the realtor and at the same time with us to put a stop at the litigation, or at the bare minimum to request the court to give us some time to allow for a normal regular sale to happen so that we could repay the bank and move forward with the litigation and put an end to it.
Gotcha. So if you are watching and you are a person who is struggling to make the monthly payments, because the cost of living has increased tremendously and the salaries haven't increased as much as the cost of living has. So if you're one of this person, feel free to reach out to me. Either you're in pre-foreclosure or foreclosure, just let me know. Give me a call. And if you're in the state of Florida and Kentucky, but I live in Florida, so give me a call. Let's work some numbers. Let's see how you can get out of this. We work as a team. So you are going to be working not only with me, but with this wonderful Florida attorneys that they specialize in real estate and litigations regarding real estate. Leslie, you actually were, you mentioned before we started the video that you were able to push back a foreclosure like
yes,
4 different times. Like that's crazy.
Yes. So we got this file at the end of last year, and it was a very complicated file. It was a family relationship, business deal gone completely, south of what they thought it would have been, and the property was in foreclosure. Long story short, we got the file, the sale, the public action was already set for a couple weeks after we were hired, and we requested the court to allow us some time to list the property for sale or find a buyer that will be willing to purchase the property without putting the property into the public sale. And we work along the attorneys for the bank who happens to know us. We've been in doing real estate litigation for years now. Everybody knows Valerie, everybody knows me, the judge knows us. So when they saw us that we were representing this the defendant in that case, they knew that we were serious about getting somebody to pay real value of the property so that we could repay them. And we even had the opportunity to negotiate way down the attorney's fees that they would have been entitled to get at a public sale, because they wanted to work with our client in getting them at least some money so that they could rent a property. And it worked out great. But as you know, real estate transactions fall off all the time, and we had to extend the foreclosure sale date 4 times to be able to actually find a buyer to buy it in a regular real estate transaction. But it got done. So if you have a good team that works with you and what you need, you're gonna make it happen. You just need to trust the process and have your faith in your legal team and your realtors.
Yep. You know what? That I've never really heard of someone pushing the date back, nor 4 different times.
Yeah.
So that's major. So for everyone that has gone through a foreclosure, unfortunately, it's not a nice process, and it really takes a toll on people. Um, so that pushing back doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really happen often,
No.
No.
or even 4 times. Now, let's say that whomever, Leslie, someone who's watching us, but they already have a realtor and they're already on the process, but the court date is coming, and they might not feel that they have a good support team, because once you hired whomever realtor you hired, you are done with that. You are with that person. Now, can they call you guys? Can they choose to work with you alongside their own realtor?
Yes,
Yes,
of course.
absolutely.
Mhm.
In fact, that case was already, if you think about it, the litigation was already over. The bank had already prevailed in court. They already had the power to sell the property and the foreclosure action. There was nothing else for the defendant to litigate in against the bank. But still, we had the opportunity to represent the defendant in a different way to try to get him a better deal outside of court. And we substitute the prior attorney that he had, and we were able to actually get him what he wanted. He didn't want to keep the house. He couldn't afford the house anymore. He's an older person. He wasn't working anymore. He lives off retirement, so his situation financially was completely different than what you would expect, on top of the whole drama with the family situation, right? But we were able to get him at least some of that equity that the property had, so that he could get back on his feet and make it work in a different way than owning a big home that doesn't fit his needs anymore. And we were able to achieve that. Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I just wanted to make that clear, because if you're already in the process and you want to work with Valerie and Leslie, you are more than welcome to reach out to them.
Yes.
And definitely, if you're struggling making payments, just do not say, let the bank take the house. Don't give me a
No.
call. Let's figure it out, and let's see how we can work together. Leslie, Valerie, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Dolly.
Bye, guys.